from Helena and somebody who has roots in Ukraine, we go to Professor Oleg Barabanov. Oleg is a Russian historian and political scientist. He's program director at the Valda International Discussion Club and professor at Moscow's famous GIMO University, its International Relations and Diplomatic University. So Oleg, please go ahead.
Thank you, Radhika. Do you hear me now? It's okay?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Okay, because the microphone was switched off. What I want to say that Putin's decision for the Russian society, both for the wider Russian society and to the political experts as well, to start the military campaign was absolutely unexpected because I discussed it with various Russian experts on international relations, on politics, very well informed experts, and just 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the start of the military campaign, and everybody was talking that everybody was not expecting the war, the start of the big war. And many people were thinking that it was a new round of a kind of a diplomatic blackmail that Putin used a year ago. Let's remember that a year ago in spring 2021, there was another escalation of Russian troops near the Ukrainian borders. Everybody expected the war. But then there was the telephone call from Joe Biden to Vladimir Putin. They organized their summit, and all became calmed. And now I think many experts were thinking that the idea was to repeat this kind of a diplomatic blackmail or diplomatic pressure to gain some more political profits to the Kremlin, to show that Putin not in isolation, that everybody is flying to Moscow, willing to speak to him, and so on. So that was the situation within Russia in February, that nobody, or in fact, or maybe very few people expected the start of the military campaign. It was interesting also to me when there was the first very long, about 1 hour, Putin's speech on 22 February with the recognition of Donetsk and Luhansk republics. There was a very tough speech with all with historical excursus and so on, totally anti-Ukrainian. And I thought personally that the speech was too tough on Ukraine, too blaming the Ukrainian government. Just to be a simple preamble, to recognize two small people's republics at the eastern Ukrainian border. So I thought it was a kind of imbalance between the content of the speech and the solution just to recognize the republics. But still, almost nobody expected the big war after the recognition as well, because some people in the Russian expert and political community started to speak that this is the road to peace, paradoxically, that Russia now enters the territories of the People's Republics, so Ukraine stop fighting at the front line with them, and there will be the peace and the conservation of the status quo, with very moderate sanctions on Russia done by the EU and the USA and the UK in these 2 days between the recognition and the start of the military operation. But in fact, the war started, and it was also interesting because the Russian propaganda, the Russian television, I mean the internal propaganda, the Russian television, they were also not doing nothing to, how to say, to prepare the people to the war before the start of the campaign. Because, you know, when you start the war, any war, you have to prepare your own population first. So I don't know if we open the textbooks on military campaigns, or textbooks on how the mobilization was organized in history. So it's about 1 week before or a few days before you have to start the information, the propaganda campaign for your own population, just to raise, how to say, the patriotic spirit and the fighter spirit and so on. And it was done nothing. And during the first 2 or 3 days of the conflict, the Russian television was, for me, disorganized. They haven't yet received a clear commands from the Kremlin how to react to the war. The information was very scarce, very limited, and the Ukrainian counter propaganda was, counter information campaign was quite active. And that was the decision to start blocking the social media in Russia. They started to block, first to put some limitations and then to block totally the Facebook, starting from the day 3 or day 4 of the campaign. Now Facebook is totally blocked. The Twitter is also blocked. There are some talks that there are plans to block YouTube and Instagram, but for now, both platforms are working. And also because the population was not prepared propagandistically for the war. So it was a shock for everybody, for almost everybody. And if you can compare it, if I'm allowed to compare it with Crimean campaign in 2014, then for sure there was a huge support of the Crimean campaign within the wider Russian society. I don't mean political activists, I don't mean experts, but within the wider society, there was a real support of Putin's actions there. And there was a term quite widespread in Russia then, named the Crimean consensus. And it was a real support of Putin's actions in Crimea. And now, taking in comparison the Crimean situation then and the military campaign now, many experts were saying that the so-called Donetsk consensus is lacking in the Russian society because there is no signs of euphoria in the faces of the ordinary people and so on. Then the campaign of so-called collective letters for peace started within Russia. Then some academicians, some musicians, some actors, and other well-known personalities within Russia started to organize either individual or collective letters for peace. Ironically, also the daughter of Putin's press secretary, Dmitry Peskov, who is the key rupert of Putin's propaganda, yeah, I see, right, also supported pro-peace, and she put some pro-peace posts in her Instagram. And there was some protest campaign within Russia the first evening after the 24th February, where about more than 1,000 people were briefly arrested. And the second campaign is just today. In Siberia and Urals, I've seen that there are about 2,000 people arrested. Let me excuse for Boris, because Boris, as far as I know, is in Siberia now, supporting to organize some protest campaigns. So it's not, is that the reason? Because he is missing our meeting. So, and just for conclusion, we have sure that I understand this global appeal for peace, and I can understand these anti-Russian feelings now rising globally. And maybe what we could also discuss within our group as the International Manifesto group, the left-wing group. So there are two logics. One logic that I understand that almost everybody of us is against the mainstream global imperialism, being it the US White House imperialism, the UK imperialism, and so on. And in that sense, it's I can see kind of dilemma for the foreign anti-imperialists, because Putin is proclaiming that he is fighting the US imperialism in Ukraine. That is to some extent true. And does it mean that anti-imperialists must support Putin, that he is, just because of the fact that he is fighting the common enemy, the US imperialism? This is one logic. And another logic that we can see the clash of two imperialism. The mainstream global imperialism led by the United States, and the new revisionist imperialism led by Russia. So in that clash of two imperialism, there could be the position of imperialists to condemn both. So it's up to everybody to choose. Thank you very much.
I'm Michael Hudson. I'm appearing here for the International Manifesto Group. If you like this video and ones like it, please subscribe. For more information, go to the address on the screen.